Welcome to another episode of the Silman Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Battisto. Today's guest is David Calkins Jr. from Liberty-Brentwood High School up in NCS. He was a state champion this last year. He's a three-time state placer. He's also a World U17 bronze medalist in Greco, and he's committed to be a Hawkeye. So we have him on the show. We're going to be talking about this last season. We're going to be talking about what is his process like getting ready for the U.S. Open. He's going to be competing in Greco in a couple weeks, and we're going to be talking about his commitment to be an Iowa Hawkeye. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify and all the major social media platforms. Again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. So first of all, just came back from the Olympic Training Center. Can you talk about that for a minute?
From the training aspect was great. It being like senior camp and whatnot, it was, I got the chance to wrestle with, world team members, people that have gone to worlds, older people. I got to, meet a lot of different coaches, people from different countries, and just kind of feel the styles out there. And I got to befriend a lot of them too. Like on our off day, we went disc golfing. That was the first time I've ever done that, and man, it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. Colton Schultz he's got a nasty tomahawk throw.
Really?
He's nice with it.
You throw it like this, or do you throw it like that?
I'm what you call it? Traditional with it. I just go here.
Yeah.
Colton we had a game plan. If I
He
can,
just hucks it.
yeah, he just throws it. If I can make it somewhat in the middle and kind of close to the cage, that gives him the freedom to just launch it. And most of the time, he gets closer when he has the freedom to do that. So that was a great time. We didn't win. P. Rob ended up winning, and he's just on a different level. But we didn't get last. We beat the Rainy Bros, and we beat Tyler too. Tyler and Maddie. And Boykin too. Boykin that's not his thing, but
That's Scotty Boykin.
Nick Boykin.
Nick Boykin.
Yeah, but
Did you guys have to do that? What's that run? I always forget the name of it, but it's like you see it in all like the old videos and stuff like that, where like the Brands brothers are making guys run up the hill and thing like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the climb.
Yeah. Do you have to do that?
I honestly wanted to do that. I've been to Colorado like 4 or 5 times now, and I've yet to do it. And we had a circuit, I want to say Wednesday morning or Saturday morning. And as I'm walking to the circuit, one of the international guys was talking how he's like, "Oh, people have been saying that we're going to do the incline." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know. What are we going to do?" And he said it was an option to. And I was a little bummed out because I wanted to do it, but yeah, I didn't get to do it. I would love to though.
I feel like the training center, from everything that I've seen, it's almost because I had a buddy that was there for a little bit, but it's almost like it's kind of like being in a college dorm. Like it's like you have the cafeteria food, everybody's kind of hanging out. Did you have a roommate too?
I didn't have a roommate. I was, happy to just kind of sleep on my own and whatnot. But yeah, it's exactly like a college dorm. Every dorm has two beds. There's a communal bathroom, and then, like you said, the cafeteria and whatnot. And you're all just kind of in it together. And it's the structure of it. It's a great way to make friends and get to know people a little bit. And yeah, it was cool.
I feel like too, it's gotta be awkward because how many of these guys that are at this senior camp, and it was for Greco, right?
Yeah.
So are you going to be wrestling seniors at the U.S. Open?
Yeah, I'll be wrestling U20s and seniors at the Open.
Dude, so are you going to be wrestling some of the guys you were just training with?
Yeah, yeah, but it's wrestling's different. I think that whether in because I played football, I've done jujitsu, I've done many different sports, and wrestling's the only one where people can almost kill each other and be friends afterwards. And it's interesting, but it's pretty cool as well. And a lot of the guys, even in my weights, I thought were really cool people, and I think that I'll continue that whether win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's something that I don't know if you necessarily want to show all your best stuff if you're kind of sparring with them or going live against them. But I think it for sure if you see it as kind of like an opportunity maybe to learn and grow, I think you get a lot more out of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What so I kind of want to back up a second because you kind of had this crazy high school career. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I came up to visit Alex and he's like, dude, I got this kid coming in next year. He's the strongest eighth grader ever. And it was you, and we rolled around in I think in your backyard. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that.
No, yeah, I remember that.
Dude, freaking I remember like Alex was right. I was like, dude, this kid's the strongest eighth grader I've ever felt.
Yeah. Man, it's been a very fun high school career. It's been, it's not been ideal. Obviously, you want to go 4-0 on state titles and go undefeated, but it gave me a great chance to grow and as a wrestler, as a person, just as a competitor in general. I think going into it, I was very just nervous to wrestle. I was a nervous wrestler, and I'd almost get like anxiety about it sometimes. And I think that's similar for a lot of people that don't want to lose. They're too tied up in the accolade or the person or the event, and it it sounds weird coming from coaches and whatnot, but sometimes you got to hear it from an outer source, or you got to figure it out the hard way that losing it doesn't matter, winning doesn't matter. Um, it only thing that really matters is if you give all the effort you have and you put your best foot forward and you just enjoy it. I mean, you don't get very 4 years isn't a long time in the comparison of life, and that and even your wrestling career isn't very long. So it was just me figuring out how to enjoy wrestling and not let it be a stressful thing, but let it be just what it is. It's just a sport. And so I've learned to enjoy it, and I felt like my senior year I had the most fun because I wasn't worried about losing. It was just about how can I wrestle this match my very best? How can, I just keep calm and enjoy the moment. And it was a great season.
Yeah, and I feel like last year you kind of maybe obviously underperformed a little bit, at least I'm sure of your expectations. But dude, this year you're just on fire. When you talk about your anxiety, like how were you able to maybe deal with that in a way where, okay, was it something like you went to like a mental coach, or you're talking about with your coaches? I like how do you actually put that into practice?
Last year was definitely my like the lowest point as far as like the my mental health in wrestling. I got a coach, man, I forget what their position's called, but I kind of like a sports psychologist, and we would meet roughly once a week. We talk about different ways to combat the nerves or how to prepare for them, how to think through them, and even with that, I was just so caught up on state. It's like all roads lead to Rome, all roads lead to state, and it was just that one thing that I was chasing after, and it froze me up. It froze up my style, and it put my feet in the mud. And if you look at my matches back then compared to when I was wrestling Brockton or Rocha, my feet were stiff, and I was just right here and being very content with just holding on the ties and not taking any risks. And I think that's the main thing that held me back. And the reason I performed the way I did was because it was nothing wrong with my preparation or me as a wrestler. It was just I was not mentally there to let go and just enjoy the moment and uh, just go for it. And I think that's through a few things, and you just learn like, hey, from life stuff, from experience, that it's it's momentary. You don't get big opportunities like that, and you just got to enjoy them while you can.
That's what I felt like just watching you wrestle. It was pretty cool seeing you watch a state finals match, especially after you kind of had the series of wars with Burford. But like there was a moment where you got to your leg and you were just fearless, man. You ripped. It was kind of like a high flyer position almost, but I think you might have been on a single leg, and you just kind of wrestled through the position, and it just seemed like you were wrestling free. And I think when you do that, that's when you see people have their best performances.
Absolutely. Uh, Burford is one of my favorite people to wrestle against. He also just wrestles for fun, and he you can tell he's got a smile on his face. He's willing to send it or to give up a leg to get to something else, and he's been a fun match, not just the senior year, but I started wrestling my freshman year at the Tim Brown, and man, he's just a great competitor, and I hope he wrestles in college for Air Force. He's playing football, but he's a really good wrestler, and I think that he would do just as good in college wrestling. But yeah, Coach Josh, he called him the like my dance partner. Some people, they clam up when they wrestle you, or I mean, some people just don't wrestle and exert themselves fully. Me and Burfer, we just let it fly, and always a fun match with him. And I'm glad that that got to be my last high school match because, you know, as you said, it was a fun match.
Was that like, because you guys wrestled, I think, 3 times during the season, but I'm sure, like you said, you wrestled multiple times. The more times you normally wrestle somebody, usually it gets a lot tighter. That's interesting that you guys are both, I don't know, you guys are talking about it like, hey, let's just let it fly, or that's just something that you're just bringing with your own mentality. But it is kind of cool to see you guys just both just like, let's just go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I consider Wes one of my friends, honestly. I'll see him at tournaments, whether we're wrestling in the same bracket or not. I always say hi to him, say hi to his family, his coaches. He's a great dude. I'll go catch up with him. But when we are in the same bracket, we'll shake hands, we'll give hugs, and we'll just be like, "Hey, man, it's gonna be a fun match." And there's no bad blood or anything, and it's just I think that's something great that wrestling can be. Obviously the rivals are fun, but sometimes it's just friendly competition, and there's nothing wrong with it.
I feel like that's super uncommon, that kind of outlook on like who you wrestle and how you're supposed to maybe see them. Is that something like in your experience that like you felt towards other people, or have there been times where it's like, no way, I'm not shaking that guy's hand, like I don't like that dude, or maybe demonizing people because I would do that all the time.
Yeah, there's some people where it's not the same case, but yeah, I think if you have the opportunity to just kind of have fun with it and be friends. I'm a very friendly person. I can talk with anybody, hang out with anybody, and I'd prefer to be friends. But if it's sometimes that's just the way it has to be.
No, I agree. I think one thing too that I thought was really interesting is after your state finals match, it was kind of like a weird last 40 seconds where it was like you get taken down, he locks his hands, then they decided we're gonna let you up, and you kind of get in this weird, I don't know what you'd call it, like kind of back around the arm, like hanging on the leg. And you're able to get the win. It seemed like you looked at the scoreboard and you seemed kind of confused, and then you realized like you won. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, I thought that when he took me down, he cut me. I thought that we were tied. So I'm like, okay, he doesn't want to go to OT. He's trying to get that takedown, and I'm holding on to that leg, and I'm like, man, I really want to go to OT right now, and I just something in me was like, man, just hold on a little bit more. It's you got to be a dog in those situations. Sometimes you got to put your head down and grind. And in there, I was like, all right, like I readjust my lock, and I was looking to score from the position, but he defended a little bit, and then I was just like, all right, I guess we're going to OT, and I stand up, and everyone just starts cheering a little bit. I look in my corner, I'm like, we did it, and Josh and Tom, they're like, you did it. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it was just unreal.
Can you maybe talk about that feeling? Like, because I just watched your state finals match again before we got on the call, and it was like almost like this white light, dude. Like you just felt like this relief and this like excitement. And I don't know what that feeling is. Like, can you maybe describe it?
Yeah, from, Worlds to Fargo, those are newer goals, especially like Worlds. Making a world team was kind of my goal, but the world medal was awesome. But state, that's something I've been thinking about that since I was a little kid. I remember going to state as a kid and watching everybody wrestle and just seeing how good they were. And I wasn't always a state level competitor. I started wrestling for fun, and I did it because my dad told us stories about him doing it in high school, and I just wanted to try it. And uh, obviously I'm blessed to be the level of competition I'm in today. But that state title was always in the back of my mind. It was always you know not a burden, but just something that kept me going, and something that made me work harder. And just once that release was off, and it was known that it was done and the work was over, it was it was beautiful, honestly. And I hope that whether you're a wrestler or any kind of athlete or whatever you do in life, I think people should you know work that hard and be able to feel something that good. I mean, it felt incredible.
Have you seen, I'm going to make a movie reference here, but you seen Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith?
Yeah,
You know, when he walks out and he's like, and this is happiness. And he starts clapping. It's just like this joy that's like,
yeah,
yeah, like I like how you put it. It's like this beautiful feeling that you get to have.
yeah. There's nothing like it. It's incredible.
I mean, I think you only get that just because I think you really just buy into the process and you work your tail off, and especially all the setbacks that you have to go through, the anxiety that you were talking about, and then finally be able to get to that moment. It was cool. It was cool to watch.
Yeah. It's so much beyond just the wrestling matches. People, they just see the wins and the losses. They don't know, um, the practices, the mental setbacks, the times when you go home and you still got to work through it, or the other life stuff like school and stuff, and being able to balance all that and still prioritize your goals. There's a lot that goes into it, but I mean, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. Um, and yeah, it's great. I love it. Love every minute of it.
When you when the season's done, when the high school season's done, are you thinking, all right, like I'm gonna take a little bit of time off, or nah, I'm gonna go right into training for Fargo and training for to make world teams and things like that?
Um, I went straight into it. Uh, Freestyle and Greco, s- nothing like it. I love throwing, love sending it, and it's not about a break. It's not about getting burnt out. I love what I do, and I'm gonna do it as much as I can. And as soon as folk style is over, it's great. Boom, now we get to throw people.
What I guess where did the love for Greco and throwing people kind of start?
Um, just I think the waiting. When you're a little kid and you can only do 4 point throws, and 2 point, fives were illegal for a long time for little kids, and just seeing people to being able to throw them, and it's just like it's like getting your license for the first time. And it's just that freedom to just let it rip and no consequences. So when I finally could, it was just it was wraps from there. It was, yeah, it's so much fun.
So you're gonna do two divisions for the U.S. Open. You're gonna do both styles too.
No, unfortunately, I can't do both styles, but just the two divisions.
Okay, so are you're gonna do Greco for both?
Yeah,
Cool, cool, man. I kind of want to back up even further. So I want to say you made your commitment to be a Hawkeye pretty early in the season, right?
yeah, but before the first tournament.
Okay. What was that process getting recruited like?
Um, after my summer, I started talking to a few people at like training training at the OTC with the U20 guys. I got in contact with Leister Bowling, and he's an Iowa guy, and so we were training. recovering and whatnot, and we started talking about Iowa, and he's saying how it's like, and I'm like, man, that's awesome. I'd love to go. And he says, we're gonna need some 97 guys to fight for the spot. And he said you just DM Morningstar and let him know you're interested, and he'll get back to you. And so I did, texted him. He hit me back, and he we started talking about the process and whatnot, and then they got me out on a visit in October. And I wanted to make sure, because I had other places I was checking out. I was by far the biggest school, so I wanted to make sure that I made my decision based on what was good for my future, what was going to benefit me in from school to lifestyle to wrestling, and not just picking it because it was the bigger school, but just going down that checklist. It fit all the criteria in my book, and it's everything that I'd want in a school. I really like the coaches, the team. Obviously, the facilities are top notch. The culture, the family environment. It was everything that I needed. And I went home, thought about it for a week, talked with my family, my coaches, and when that call came from Coach Brands, I knew immediately that I wanted to go there.
That's kind of cool, like getting that call from Brands. I know like Miko kind of had the same thing where it's like, dude, this is was it Terry or Tom that called you?
Tom called me.
Dude, so Olympic champion Tom Brands calls you and is like, hey, I want you to be a Hawk. Like that's kind of a cool thing, huh?
Yeah, no, it was great. And even on the visit and stuff too. We went to the football game, and they had a little tailgate before, and I was just kind of hanging out, enjoying the space, the scenery. And Tom comes by, grabs my elbow, and starts, like a little wrestler hug, starts, grabbing and getting two on ones. And he's like, "So, what's it gonna take to make you a Hawk?" And we just got to talking, and yeah, they're great people. I'm super excited to start working with them.
What do you think they look for in future Hawkeyes? Like, what are they trying to recruit?
That's a good question. Um, I think just resilience, being a dog, you know, um, being able to scrap no matter what, and good wrestlers that have a system, have a ranges of attacks, and but mostly just I think they look for that mentality more than anything. And you look in that room, there's not one soft link. Everybody's a dog, everybody's ready to start and go win a match. And I think that that's part of the reason why I clicked with Iowa very well, was because they share a mentality that I like to embrace. They're always working hard, and that's something that I see myself excelling at.
When you do you watch any of the national tournament?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You look at some of these 97 pounders, and obviously, I think one of the coolest stories was Gabe Arnold. And if you listen to any of his interview with like Mark Bader, kind of reminds me of kind of what you were just talking about, just that resilience. And when you talk about the culture, maybe that they're trying to bring about, I think it's sometimes maybe the perception I think a lot of people have that these guys are kind of like robots and they don't have like a sense of humor or personality, but they do. Um, can you talk about maybe the relationship that just through the process that you made with some of the guys on the team and maybe the coaching staff too?
Yeah, absolutely. When I walked in there, that was something that I was kind of worried about too. I didn't I didn't want to be around a bunch of people that didn't know anything but wrestling per se. And no, when I go in there, when they're wrestling, they're wrestling. But outside, we went to hang out. They showed me the city, and we got food, and we went back to one of their shared houses, and they're just they're dudes. You know what I mean? They watch TV. They got their own hobbies. Um, and they live. It's not just wrestling. Of course, wrestling's a big part of all of our lives, but they're people. And I really like the fact that they're just guys, and it's like a frat house, but for just wrestling.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly how it is. I mean, it's like you join the team and it's instantly it's like you have like 30 plus brothers. Like you got
Yeah,
like guys that are going to have your back, and not just when you're on the team with them, like for life. Like these are going to be friends that you're going to have for the rest of your life.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, when you talk about things that you do outside the room, like what do you other than frisbee golf, which I guess that's a relatively new thing, but what are some things that you like to do outside of wrestling for fun?
Um,
Other than
I
watch, I think you watch anime, right? You're an anime guy.
I do. I just started watching anime. I'm watching Naruto right now. It's great. Coach Josh put me on with it, and I've that'll change your life. A lot of people think it's weird, but um, some of the best storylines I've ever seen. And once you get past all the kids running around with their arms straight, and the it being in Japanese, I think it's really cool. But besides that, I love biking. I'll go. I started biking in over quarantine, and that's how I learned streets and whatnot, was just biking around the city. Um,
Wait, like motorcycling or like
Not
bicycle?
like bicycle.
Are you one? You're not one of those kids that's popping wheelies in the streets, right?
No, no, I got a mountain bike.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried learning how to wheelie, but I'm too big for all that. I can't be doing that.
Exactly. And plus, if you fall, dude, like, or you crash into something, then you get hurt. Then you got to miss
Yeah,
time from wrestling.
yeah. So that was never my thing, but yeah, love biking. Uh, hiking's pretty fun. That's decently new thing for me, but love to hike, love to explore. I'm really big into music. I listen to all kinds of music. Only thing I don't really listen to is K-pop.
Wait,
But
wait, what? That's the only thing you haven't listened to, or the only thing you've been listening to?
only thing I don't listen to.
Got it.
Yeah, I
So
listen to.
Demon Slayer is out the window. No Demon Slayer.
No, I'm not on that. But you know, rock, rap, R&B, a little bit of country. I'm pretty wide in my music taste. More just depends on the mood or whatnot. I'm starting to get into house music too. House is pretty cool. My buddy PJ put me on with that, and it's good like filler music for when you're working out. Just good beat. Um, what else? I love driving. Honestly, I'll drive anywhere. If anytime I have the opportunity to drive with my family, if we got a trip and we got to go somewhere, I'll offer it up. Love eating. Uh, I'm getting into cooking a little bit. Cooking's pretty fun. At the OTC, we had a class and we made sushi. That was pretty dope.
Wait, so you had a class at the Olympic Training Center?
Yeah. At the end of camp, our the nutritionist there, she ran a class and we all made sushi.
That's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
when you think about like when you're going to Iowa, when do you plan on kind of going down there to train and stuff?
Roughly June.
Okay, they have like camps and stuff like that. Basically, that's where you're going down.
Like like for like kids, like performance camps.
Yeah, like I mean, they got their like intensive camps and prospect camps, and I think that's why a lot of guys are able to go down over the summer and stuff, right?
I'm not sure about that, but I'm
Yeah,
just going down as soon as I can to train.
yeah. So have you kind of already scouted out like, okay, like this is like the spots where I'm gonna go hiking maybe, or like these are some of the cool food spots?
Not necessarily, but my sister's gonna still be there when I get in, so she'll definitely her and the team will definitely be like my my support as far as, finding all those stuff.
And then when you talk about like music and things like that, so let's say, all right, this year, this upcoming year, hey, you're getting ready. They're gonna put you out there for a duel. What's gonna be your walkout song?
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I don't have an answer for that yet, but it'll probably be some rap. You know, I,
What makes a good walkout song in your opinion?
it's got to fit the person. It's got to be, if your vibe is, you're tough and you're a hard guy. I think, obviously you're going to be more of a rock person. If you're loose and you're kind of silly and funky, like Jack's Forest walkout song is great for him. Um, Me, I'm from the Bay, So I'm always gonna put on some, some rap, some, E40, some Mac Dre. Um, I really like our underground scene here. We got some good underground music. So, whether you're from LA or Georgia, you'll definitely see some people bumping, some Lil Dame or Mike Sherm's been popular for a minute now. But that's probably the direction I'll go with my walkout song is something local.
Cool, man. Well, hey, we've been going for I think almost like 30 minutes now. Before we kind of get done, I guess talking, do you have anything else maybe to talk about?
Not necessarily. I don't mind. We can whatever questions you have, I'm right there.
Yeah, well, I guess I got a couple more. When you think about your wrestling style and people that you try to emulate, I guess are there any wrestlers that you think about?
Not necessarily. It's more about using what I can physically do. And like I said, last year I was a lot more stiff and just kind of being a Greco guy per se, heavy ties, underhooks, snatch singles, and obviously going into this season, people are thinking, I'm a Greco guy, but I'm just as good at folk style and freestyle as I am at Greco. And this year was just about me opening up and figuring out all the stuff I can do. I'm big, but I'm also athletic and fast, and you see that with that misdirection that I was in that state a little bit.
Yeah,
You
that low
know,
single,
yeah,
dude, that was pretty nice.
yeah. Me and Josh been working on that a lot, and whether people agree with it or not, I felt that, there's a lot of places that I can create. Obviously I can push the pace, I can be a hard hand fighter, but there's also some places where, I could slow down, like, go on a knee, kind of work some timing a little bit. Getting those ties, I don't think anyone can, hang with me in a tie and, even open shots like blast doubles and, being able to change off to a single. It's so interesting to me. It's just a little puzzle and the different positions and being able to break it down and find openings and oh, you shoot here and they defend it, now this is open. I just think it's so fascinating to be able to score from almost anywhere and not limiting myself to a specific style or position of scoring.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling is an art, and I think a lot of people always try to make it seem like it's always about this fight, and yeah, it is. I mean, especially if that's your style. But I think your style is very much a reflection of who you are.
Absolutely.
When you
Absolutely. I
go
think
ahead.
that the closest thing to wrestling is music and dance. Those are the two most free flowing things that are related to dance. Dance or wrestling's a little more violent because it's a physical sport, but you can start from a complete blank canvas, whether it's music, art, dance, wrestling. Those are the things that, you don't necessarily have to follow any rules as far as, making it your own. You know what I mean? And Mitchell Messenbrink said it really well. He said, um, art is something that you use your hands, your mind, and your heart to emulate. And when I'm wrestling or when I'm listening to music, and that's just something that I try to incorporate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think just kind of talking about like music and dance and stuff, it's like you kind of learn, you spend a lot of time developing these fundamentals. And then once you have those kind of fundamentals mastered, it's like then you can kind of start putting things together kind of on your own free will. Like especially if it's like you're playing in a band and you're playing maybe with people and you're jamming out. It's like somebody maybe takes it somewhere that's a little bit unexpected. Like everybody's that's good enough to kind of, play the tunes with and kind of follow that person.
Yeah. Uh, Somebody I look at for creativity is Pharrell. I think Pharrell, Metro Boomin. I really like the producer side of things. I love just, everything you can do from, taking away samples from older music and even creating completely new genres. I want to learn how to make beats eventually. I think that it's just so fascinating to me, but no, I love just being able to hear all the different sounds and filters, and I love good 808s and drums on a good beat, and just being able to break that down and hear it. It's just so interesting to me.
Is that something that you think you'd want to do maybe in college, like take a couple music classes?
I would love to. If they offered it, heck yeah.
I think most of the time with most universities, you usually have like some kind of like core curriculum or like base classes where it's like you have to take some kind of like artistic class. I know a lot of guys I went to college with, they took like music appreciation or like art history or something like that just because it's kind of easy. But yeah, you should definitely look into that. Do you know what you want to get your degree in?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a business major.
Okay. Okay. So maybe, yeah, maybe you get a major in business and maybe take a couple music classes too.
I would love to. I'm taking history of music right now, history of American popular music, and it's a very interesting class. We've gone over everything from the 20s to the 70s, and we're about to go into the 80s right now, but it's a really interesting class.
Yeah. When you think about like your wrestling style, what are some things that you feel like, all right, like this I know is going to be an area that I need to improve on in order to get ready for college. Is there anything that maybe sticks out?
Uh, I think I you can always improve on head hands defense. My reattacks can they can be improved, I think. Um, Even just short defense, like down blocks to reattacks there. I think that's a good spot to be proficient in, and a good spot that I can improve. I think being a little more fluid in my reattacks. If the second one's not there, then get into the third one and the fourth one, and just being able to bounce back and forth from taking a shot to defending to reshotting, and just being more fluid with the match, and being able to just adjust and wrestle anybody, as well as scoring on top. But yeah, I think those are areas that I can definitely improve on.
Well, cool, man. Well, before we log off, I got one more question. When you're getting ready to go to Iowa, like what's something that maybe you're most excited about other than the wrestling part?
Obviously, obviously the wrestling's very exciting, but I'm excited to be in a new state, a new area, being able to live on my own, and even just being out there with my sister. My sister is my best friend, love her to death, and I think that we're gonna have a lot of fun out there, and we're already really close, but we'll be able to get closer, and even being able to hang out with the guys. That's exciting to me. Being able to meet new people. That's it's exciting. It's a cool time.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited, and I've kind of been a fan of yours for a long time from afar, just kind of knowing Alex and stuff. But dude, I'm really excited for you. I'm happy for you, man. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Thank you.
That was episode 110 with David Calkins. Again, if you guys haven't yet, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spotify, and all your major social media platforms. Again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.